Morning, everyone. So I'm going to talk about how to grow an audience using video. I've got a little video for you to watch. So that gives you a little bit of an idea about what On The Tools is. I'm Lee Wilcox. I'm the CEO, co-founder back in August 2014 of On The Tools. Like all great ideas, it was started with alcohol on a Friday night. Myself and a best friend, Adam, who'd been in the trade for about 12 years, and he was moaning about the fact that he couldn't find a plasterer on a job that he was on. Me being a bit of a geek, bit of a techie, I sort of adamantly argued against the fact that there's got to be something out there from a B2B perspective that would allow contractors and subcontractors just to connect. But there wasn't really anything. You've got your things like Check a Trade, Rated People, but it was all very much B2C. There was nothing out there that was going to allow the B2B market to exist. So we carried on drinking. This is a little picture of Adam here. He's been in the trade for 12 years. And we came up with this idea for an app that was going to be a very simple, upload your profile, load a job on, you can then search for tradespeople or search for a job. Very simple. So he rang me the next morning, hungover, on the way to work, and said, you know, we're going to do this. We set about, always get a little bit embarrassed at looking at this as our first logo for the app. We sent the spec off via Elance and spent our last bit of money that we had on a credit card to go and get that done. So sent the app over. It was being built in India, and we, at this point, had no money whatsoever. So we thought, well, what can we do? A week later, myself and Adam were having a conversation in his garden this time, and he said, look, why don't we just start a Facebook page? I've got loads of funny videos on my phone. I can get all that, and we can just re-upload them. He had 4 videos. I then spent about 2 weeks already full-time employed and spent 2 weeks scratching around trying to find content to upload to social media channels. And we had huge dreams of being able to get to that 100,000 mark. We thought, well, we've got a 12-month plan here. We knew how long the app was going to take to get built. So we set along there thinking, if we can get that 100,000 mark, we've got UK tradespeople all in one spot. We launched the app out. We're sorted. Business for life. The first video that really made it for us was this one.
How do you do it? Right, ready?
Go on in.
I'm going. Go. You've got gloves on your hands.
Now, we put our only bit of spend actually that we used to grow the channel, we put £40 behind this post, and it got 13 million views in 3 days. And within 2 weeks, we hit the 50,000 mark. And at that point, that's when the audience started to send us content. So we were then licensing that content and then reposting that back out as part of our model. This was one of the first bits of content we got.
Yeah.
And then get round to that tree. All right, Dan?
Oh, all right, Dan.
You all right?
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, cheers.
Good stuff. Yeah.
And after that position set, we can get to that gate position over there.
That gate position's tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Spot on. All right, mate, cool.
It's still one of my favourite videos. So after 3 months, we'd hit 250,000 followers across the page. And actually what had happened was we'd grew this audience that we didn't really intend on building that quickly or even that big. The audience looked more like this, actually. So what we needed to do was carry on this journey. We still had another 9 months before we were going to get the app back. And what we quickly started to realise was that it was hugely time-consuming. We were getting around about 150 messages a day via the page, most of them being content. So I would work, I'd finish at 6, come back, go through all the messages, reply to them all, watch all of the content, edit them if they needed editing, and then re-upload them. Most nights I was up till 1 in the morning, if not sometimes further. And Andy is always, our commercial director, is always really keen on letting me know that likes don't pay the bills, and he's very true. So what happened was about 6 months in, maybe slightly earlier than that, we had contact from quite a few of the followers to asking for merchandise on the tools, hoodies or t-shirts, mugs. So we set about setting up a Shopify store. It was a great business model. We went out with the sort of top 6 trades, so electricians, carpenters, plumbers, and we asked the audience to give us the best slogans, of which we then went through the comments, picked the ones with the most likes, and then I spent about 48 hours making some designs and getting the shop set up, and these were just some of the sort of ones that came back. And within that first week, we did £800 worth of sales. This was my living room after I ordered all the stock in. So I quit my job. I was like, I've done it. We've made it. Well, I've done £800 worth of sales. We're done. It turns out we weren't, but we did have a very good month. We did £15,000 worth of sales in our first month, and it's actually what took us on that journey then to be able to become what we are today. 2 months after we'd set the shop up, we then took Adam off the tools to bring him on the tools again. So Adam left the trade. There he is there in all his glory. As I said before, he's in the trade for 12 years. We were really busy. We had lots of important phone calls to do. And in 2016, the app came back from India. We hit 500,000 followers on the page, and we were set to launch, but the app didn't work. So when we got it back, I think Apple had just launched iOS 7, and then the app was built in iOS 3. We'd been done. We took it to a UK developer. They said, you've got no chance. This is not usable. So March that year, 3 months on, we lost one of our sort of licensing partners that we were distributing content to. We also had another deal that we got with a sort of tax mileage claim service that had sort of died down. And in March, we had a loss of 24 grand. At this point, there's still just me, Adam, and the 2 people that we've got helping with the online store. We were sad. We were super sad. We were Ian Beale sad.
I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left.
That last bit's horrible, isn't it? So what did we do? What we knew we needed was someone with the time and experience to come in and work with brands. We'd become very aware that the construction industry was quite archaic. It was always a bit behind in terms of marketing and the uses, and there was still a lot of money being spent on print and radio, and so there's a bit today, particularly from a radio perspective. But we knew we had something better, and we knew we had this UK audience. So what we did was we lied to Andy and said that if we can get 3 months' worth of your salary, in our bank, then we come across and work on the tools. Andy's a shareholder, he invested very early on, and I actually worked with Andy in my previous role, so we got a great relationship. He stupidly said yes, and then we started to work towards the fact that we needed more long-term partnerships. We'd done real small bits of work with some brands, but nothing really video-orientated. The industry didn't really want that at the time, within construction particularly. So in September, we hit the 1 million mark, but as Andy always says, lights don't pay the bills. So we set about then making a piece of content for free for one of the sort of biggest brands within the industry, which is this video here.
All right, don't worry. Just make sure you get everything on the list. Read it out to me again.
Tartan paint, skateboard ladders, and a long way.
That's it. Good lad. Off you go then. Go on, lad. Yeah, that's it.
So that was all about getting young people back into merchants. There's a stigma around apprentices particularly, which we see a pattern of all the time, where they can't really ask questions without getting the piss took out of them, if I'm being completely honest. So we knew that Juicem were trying to tackle that. We'd not done really any work. We'd met them at a few events, and so we made that, pitched to them, and that was how we got our first sort of long-term deal. We then got approached by a company to create our own awards. We did our first awards back in 2016. It's voted for by tradespeople. So we looked across what was the construction industry sort of awards at that point and realised that there was nothing really out there that was for the actual tradespeople. So we said, well, we'll do it, but we really want to do it so that it's a public vote. So we now have, workwear brand of the year or power tool brand of the year, electrician of the year, plumber of the year. This is all voted for by the actual trade, which is, really unique. So at the start of 2017, we ended up getting our 3 long-term brand partnerships, which was all about video content creation, very much trying to get our audience in front of their brands in a way that wasn't going to right hook them. And as we already know, consumers don't want to be sold to. They want to be entertained. They want something emotive, and that was our mission. So we started to create more content like this one.
Yeah.
No, you're doing my head in, just leave it out. I need to pinch one off, so I'll give you a bell back later. Yeah, well, all right, yeah, love you too, Mum. Yeah.
You're not coming in here. We're not done yet. Give us 5 minutes, will you?
Sorry, lads, when you gotta go, you gotta go.
No way you going in here.
No. That serves you right.
It's all right. It's waterproof. Hello? Oh, missed it.
It always takes a couple of seconds for people to realise that it's there. So I'll take that screen off now. So we knew that humour was going to be a way that we could, really disrupt the market, and particularly within the way that brands were working or with other agencies and trying to talk to the trade, it was very much, there was a huge gap there in terms of how they were marketing, as if they were marketing to nuns and vicars. They're not, you know, the tradespeople. Our demographics sit across that we've got an 85% male following, aged between 18 to 44. You know, it's very easy to understand who they are as people, but I think a lot of brands forget that they're not sitting in an office and that they are on site every day. Our biggest piece of content that we created was for Direct Line from a brand partnerships point of view. This piece of content was the highest viewed piece of branded content in the UK across Facebook. And it was all surrounding the Grand National. We posted the video the day before the Grand National launched, and it went crazy.
And the runners and riders are ready for the on-site Grand National. Let's have a look at the course. Here we come. Got to go over the jump, around the brick pile, then through over the next jump and through the finish line.
Let's go.
Runners and riders are ready, and they're off. And the yellow hat takes an early lead. Got to check the corner of the blue second. Go on, Jonesy. Jonesy's in the lead. He can do it, son. Go on. And yellow's streaking it away. He's winning by a mile. Go on, Jonesy. Ah, Jonesy.
You won it! You won it! I'm going home.
Nice one, Jonesy.
I think I'm going to be sick. Oh my God. Come on.
I always like to do this at this point, but that was actually me in that video. We fell in the hole, and I always do a Clark Kent impression there. But there's on the day we dug that hole, it took 5 hours to fill the hole. We had one little tiny hose. We was all in the pub for most of the day. The views on that piece of content, we hit about 36 million views. We had newspapers ringing the office asking to speak to Jonesy and have an interview with him. You know, the brand won three awards off the back of it. It was a huge piece of content for us to deliver, but completely different to what that brand and any other brand had done through the construction industry. So what are we now? Well, we currently sit as a social media marketing agency. The app never launched. We had it rebuilt in the UK, and actually by the time we'd got that done, we realised it probably wasn't the right thing for us to be doing. The construction industry, from a recruitment perspective, was rife. The churn had slowed down. The distance that people were travelling had slowed down, and it wasn't the right thing for us to do. We currently sit third this year in branded partnership content in terms of views, and I think the reason for this, and this is what I guess the one takeaway, if you're operating social media publishing channels or even from your business perspective, is the power of that niche. You know, there was algorithm changes at the start of the year with Facebook that meant that Facebook wanted all of us to connect more with each other, not necessarily with brands. And I know that a lot of the bigger publishers felt that because of their broad following. Facebook works in a way where content will be distributed to a very small percentage of the following that you have, and then if they engage with it, it will be followed then up by being distributed a little bit further to the next section, and then so on and so forth. We haven't seen a drop because we know the audience, we know they're based in the UK, we know that they're based within construction, and we then create content that's going to be relevant to them. So when that post drops with that content, the engagement we get is much higher than what other brands are getting, and that's really helped us with the brands that we've been working with. These are some of the brands that we've worked with so far. We're just starting to do more out-of-sector work now, some stuff with McDonald's and Lidl, and that's again because the audience is there. They're still male, they're still humans. So what have we learned along the way? Likes don't pay the bills. Adam was in the trade for 12 years, and if you build it, they will come. And that is a load of shit, because it's not true. We can all operate Facebook pages, social media channels, but ultimately it has to come down to the content that we're creating. Without that content and without that relevancy and really understanding the audience, it is a huge thing. And it sort of brings me on to my second point of you know, you've got to understand the niche, you've got to understand what you do. And I think if we'd not had this chap who'd been in the trade for 12 years, we would have really struggled, because I think having that understanding, and almost whenever we're doing anything, we've always tried to look at where we can add that into the office as well. We've got a few people in the social team that have been within construction as well, and they're our go-to, because ultimately you need to understand who it is that you're going at. And within our office now, we have tradespeople, which is a huge thing for us to be able to have. Third, read. Social media is changing every week. The algorithm changes, the platforms change, new ones pop up, other ones disappear. Twitter's dead, then it's alive again. There's so many different things that you need to constantly keep on top of, and I think a lot of people will try and muddle along, but I think the more that you can read, there's so many good sources out there, TechCrunch and just to name one, but there's huge amounts, and I think that realistically, without keeping on top of that, you will struggle, because the platforms will change before you know it, and it's very, very difficult to catch up there. And that is me done. Thank you very much.